All right, thanks, Brian, and welcome everyone to this March 13, 2023 meeting of the Homewood City Council. I have one announcement tonight before we get started. The Stormwater Management Program Plan draft is now posted on the website. It's on the website now, correct? And it is open for public comment through March 27. So if everyone will please let your constituents know that, and hopefully everyone listening to this will know as well, and everyone can go and make their public comment on that again until March 27th. All right, I think that is all for announcements tonight, so I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we are going to start with an invocation from Councilor Smith, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand.
If you'll bow your heads and pray with me. Dear God, in this season of Lent, we thank you for going ahead of us and preparing our way. You have plans and purposes beyond what we can imagine, and in that we take confidence and rest. God, we are excited to see what you are going to do, not for us, but through us for your glory. We give you thanks today that this season of darkness will fade away into beautiful, brilliant light. Thank you for being with us in whatever we face and being greater than any trial that we face. We thank you that you are at work right now, trading our ashes for beauty. We praise you for making all things new. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If everyone will face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Salter, if you will please call roll.
Can I call roll?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Burgett. I didn't even look down there. I apologize.
She's not as pretty as me, so. Mr. Gwaltney.
Here.
Mrs. Gear.
Here.
Councilor Alamont.
Here.
Councilor Wolverton. Councilor Sims.
Here.
Councilor Jones.
Here.
Councilor Smith.
Here.
Councilor Nelms.
Here.
Councilor Andress.
Here.
Councilor Harden.
Here.
And President Wyatt.
Here. All right. Next, we have the reading of the minutes. We've got a couple of these that were distributed. First one is from our council meeting of February 27, 2023. I would entertain a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of said minutes and for approval of the same.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gwaltney, second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are approved 10-0. The next ones are for March 6, 2023, our specially called meeting then. Would entertain a similar motion for those minutes.
So moved.
All right, a motion for Ms. Gear, second for Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is, those are also approved 10-0. Next, we have board vacancies. We'll start with Arts Advisory Council. We had one at-large, Ms. Gear, keep me straight here. We had one at-large position that closed last week where the candidate had not submitted everything that she needed to, but did submit her letter of interest. So we held that to get the sufficient information. Do you want to go ahead, but there's only one applicant for that position, so would you like to go ahead and make a motion?
I would. I'd like to make a motion that Beverly LaBeouf be nominated or approved to fill one of the at-large positions that's currently open.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion for Ms. Gear, second for Mr. Alamon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 10-0. Approval of Ms. LaBeouf. We have another at-large advisory council position. And I understand this one, because I know we've got candidates for each of these. I want to make sure I'm getting the right one for the right one.
That's right.
Is that D-Tips that is for that one?
D-Tips is the other, the second at-large position we would like to fill.
But I think we got a second application this
So
afternoon.
there's
Oh,
actually a
there's two.
Ward 2 spot that's open as well. So
Got it.
that's why had the same issue. So Ms. Tips is your nomination for the at-large, correct?
The new at-large position, correct.
Okay. So we have a motion for Ms. Tips. Do we have a second? Second. Second for Mr. Alamon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is also 10-0. Approved. Then last we have a Ward, last for our Arts Advisory Council, we have a Ward 2 position. And I think we've got another candidate for that?
Yes, that position is a reapply. Amber Allen Parsons is the only one to reapply. Her spot is open for another term. We would like to nominate her for that.
All right. So we have a motion from Ms. Gear. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Alaman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is, Ms. Parsons is also approved, 10-0. All right, we also have closed today a Ward 2 Beautification Board position that I don't think we got any applicants for. You did great on the Arts Council. All right, so I would suggest that we reopen that until April 10th at 4:30. Is that all right with Ward 2 and with liaison?
Would it be possible, I mean, I don't know if we can talk about making that, we've struggled for months.
You want it longer than that?
I have longer, I mean, making it at large at this point, just like if we want to someone to fill the role.
Well, that would be a whole different thing that we would have to do. So in the meantime, I think we need to open this. So I would say to April 10th, unless there's a different thought. Yeah.
Yeah, alternatively, what we could do is we could not reopen it, wait to recruit a candidate that we know may apply and reopen it and give it 2 weeks at that time for that person to apply and whoever else may be interested at that point.
What do you think, Mr. President? If you want to open it, I mean, I'm open.
I would prefer to open it simply because I like having a deadline out there for us to keep it on our radar.
Can we just open it for 2 weeks then, and just see what we get?
Sure, we absolutely can, if you would rather do that, which puts us at March 27th at 4:30.
And as far as the timing of that goes, we do have a beautification board award being presented in Ward 2 on March, that same week. I think it's March 22nd. So maybe we can kind of use that as an opportunity to invite some Ward 2 residents to come and maybe tell them more about the board and encourage them to apply to the open vacancy.
Sounds
Okay.
good to me, thank you.
And then, Ms. Smith, you have a park board.
Yes, I need to open one of the at-large spots on the park board. The spot is currently held by Todd Minor, and he is planning to reapply for a second term, which he is eligible for. And he was recently made the vice chair of the council, of the park board, and will serve as the next chair when that time comes, which I believe is a while from now. Yeah. Yeah, so, no, I don't think it's that long, because Michael just took over. So, Michael Morgan just took over.
He told me he was done by the end of this summer. I could be wrong.
I think it might be by the end of the year, but either way, he's the vice chair, so, and he's planning on reapplying, but we need to open it for 2 weeks, please.
Okay, so we will open that one until March 27 at 4:30 as well. All right, we have 2 changes to the agenda tonight. The first is in addition to other new business. It's a request to, 170323, request to authorize the mayor to sign a 1-year contract with Norton LifeLock. Then secondly, we need to drop from the committee referral agenda 080323. So with those 2 changes, I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion from Ms. Smith, second from Mr. Wolverton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0. Which brings us to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second. Motion from Mr. Wolverton, second from Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0. Sorry, that is approved 11-0. Which brings us to our old business agenda. The first item, 120123, bid opening held on March 13, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. for the Delcris Sidewalk Project Phase 1, brought to us by Cale Smith. And we will start with a report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on March the 6th, and this particular item was carried over pending the bid opening, which was held today, open the bids, and I would make a motion from the floor after Mr. Smith has reviewed them to recommend CB&A construction. The amount is $202,115. We're within budget. He's here for any questions, but that would be my motion from the floor.
Can you say that again, Walter? The last part?
That you're within budget?
Yeah.
Within budget.
That
Within
part.
budget, yeah.
I feel like we never hear that.
Yeah, at least not lately, so that's
right.
exciting.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, first, I've got a motion for Mr. Jones. Do I have a second? Second for Mr. Wolverton. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Smith about this?
What was the budget amount?
So we had 275,000 was the bid amount, and so we decided to do this shorter of the two phases to hopefully be in budget, and we were. We had 3 bids, and 2 of them were in line, and then 1 of them was really high, so.
Really high, like 475 high.
Wow.
Like crazy.
Huge difference.
And CB&A is also the same contractor that is finishing up the Mecca Avenue sidewalk project, and.
So they've worked on hills.
Yeah, they're familiar, and they've done a great job down the street, so, yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Gear?
I do have one question. I'm just curious about the work hours. I mean, everybody was really happy that they finished it fast, but I heard rumor that they were working well into the night, like after dark. Are there any, like, what are the hours of operation?
So a couple of nights they had late concrete pours because they had to postpone the concrete delivery because of rain. So they can't pour in the rain, so they had to back it up. And so that happened twice, I think.
Okay, so.
But typically, they can work until 7?
7.
Okay. Great, thanks.
All right.
And if I remember correctly, our own work doesn't necessarily have to fall within those guidelines. So, just to clarify, all right?
Correct. That's correct.
You mean Public Works?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
The city in general.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
right.
So,
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
is there's not a way to earmark that leftover money to
There's
move
not.
towards the next phase?
No,
Okay.
because that's going to be in the next budget, so all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0 and will be Resolution 2332. Next item, 110223, request to declare the following item surplus: a 2010 Dodge Charger with VIN number last 40448, a 2011 Ford F-150, last 4 on the VIN 5105, a 97 International Refuse Truck, last 4 VIN 1802, and a pressure washer with serial number last 4 9579, and a gasoline air compressor with the last 4 of serial number 1046. This is brought to us by Gordon Janes of our Fleet Maintenance Department, and we'll start with another report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this item. Made by Councilor Smith, seconded by Councilor Allen.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Kendrick, can you give us a first reading?
Yes, sir. It's an ordinance to declare certain property in surplus, hereby establish and declare the following described personal property of cities no longer needed for public or municipal purpose. Property is described in Exhibit A, which is what Mr. Wyatt is listed, but in addition to that, there's some miscellaneous radio chargers and other things that were added at the last meeting. It's all included in Exhibit A, including those vehicles listed by Mr. Wyatt. Section 2, the mayor and the city clerk be and are hereby authorized and directed to dispose of the property on auction to the highest bidder.
All right, thank you very much. I would now entertain a motion and a second for unanimous consent.
So approved. Second.
Smith, Harden.
Was it Smith? We got a motion from Ms. Smith and a second from Mr. Harden, and a roll call vote, please, Mr. Burgett.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gear?
Yes.
Mr. Allamont?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Jones? Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Nelms?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
And Mr. Wyatt.
Yes, all right, so that is 11-0. Now entertain a motion and a second for approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion for Ms. Gear, second for Ms. Nelms, and another roll call vote, please, Mr. Burgett.
Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Gear?
Yes.
Mr. Allemond?
Yes.
Mr. Wolverton?
Yes.
Mr. Sims? Mr. Jones? Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Nelms?
Yes.
Mrs. Andress?
Yes.
Mr. Harden?
Yes.
And Mr. Wyatt.
Yes. All right, so that is approved 11-0 and will be ordinance 2862. Next item, 120223, request for consideration for budget amendments to police capital for safety equipment, brought to us by Robert Brigette, and another report from finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this item.
All right, so we have a motion from finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 11-0 and will be resolution 2333. Next item, 130223, request for permission to park within the right-of-way at 426 Carr Avenue, brought to us by Cale Smith. And we'll start with a report from Public Works. Mr. Wolverton.
Yes, the committee met last week and voted 5-0 to recommend approval. The motion was made by Counselor Sims and seconded by Counselor Gear. This is Asian market that has been shut down for a period of time and basically was going to be used in a similar fashion.
Okay. So we have a motion from Public Works. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is also approved 11-0 and will be resolution 2334. Next item, 140223, request for permission to work in the right-of-way to construct a parking pad at 300 Yorkshire Drive, brought to us by Doug and Melissa Durkee, as well as Counselor Andress and Wyatt Pugh. And start with another report from Public Works, Mr. Wolverton.
Yes. Committee voted 5-0 to recommend approval pending proper indemnification agreement. Motion was made by Counselor Sims and seconded by Counselor Harden.
All right, so this item and the next item are related, so we're only going to do one resolution for both. So let me go ahead and go to the next one, which is 150223, request for permission to work in the right-of-way to install landscaping at 300 Yorkshire Drive, brought to us by Doug and Melissa Durkee, Counselor Andress, and Wyatt Pugh, and another report from Public Works, Mr. Wolverton.
Yes, the committee voted 5-0 to recommend approval, and the items were combined. So 140223 and 150223 were recommended to be combined into one resolution. This motion was made by Counselor Sims and seconded by Counselor Gear.
All right, so we have a motion from Public Works for both 140223 and 150223. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is also 11-0 and will be resolution 2335. Next item, 190223, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of a sign variance at 126 Barber Court, brought to us by Jeff Belk of Mayfair Dairy and Wyatt Pugh. And we'll start with a report from Special Issues, Ms. Smith.
The committee met last week, voted 5-0 to refer this item back out to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. Motion was made by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Allemond.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will go ahead and open this public hearing. Mr. Pugh, are you speaking to this?
Mr. Bell is here, so why don't you come on up? You'll just sign in for the record.
Okay.
You go ahead. They've already heard from me.
Oh, okay, all right, so obviously, we're just looking to move one of our cows, we call Maggie, out to the front of our location there and kind of upgrade our little sign placement. We've never really had much of a public sign out there. And we've got several of these cows that we're working with currently to kind of put at some of our locations across the country. So my request is to basically take that cow and trailer and just place it where you see the red circle there. We're just gonna place it down on concrete footing and have it as a stationary monument there for the entryway to Mayfield there.
All right. Let me just check. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council.
So just to clarify, the hedges and trees and whatnot are still going to remain. So
Correct.
From
Yeah,
one direction, you probably won't really even see it till you get.
It really won't disturb anything there, yeah, it'll just be placed right there where that little white sign is. That's correct.
Okay, and just to clarify, the properties were split and sold, is that right?
Yes, they're
So
owned
Milo's
separate,
is
they're
a
owned
separate-
separately now.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Sims, did you have something?
I was just gonna ask for clarification too, that the circular Mayfield sign that is at the base of the cow, is that the only actual logo sign that will remain, that, or is there anything else that says Mayfield?
You know, that's pretty much gonna be it, unless you guys are objected to me changing that just slightly. It's, instead of being Mayfield Creamery now, it'll just be Mayfield Dairy Farms. They've changed that logo slightly, but outside of that, no, that's
Okay.
it.
I just wanted to clarify that too, because I mean, if there's anything additional going on, the lettering, you know, the size of it, that would also
Yeah.
come into play. So I just want to clarify that no additional lettering related to Mayfield was planning to
Yeah.
go up, just to.
So the only thing would
clear.
be that it'll actually look basically the same, it just won't have the creamery on it. So that's pretty much the only change to it.
Okay, and I just want to make sure, because this will be attached to the resolution, Mr. Kendrick? The cow, the picture, right? So if
Okay.
you change anything from
You'll-
how that looks, you got to come back.
You'll need it, okay. And I may be able to just leave it as is. Obviously, this is not the correct cow because it's an older cow.
I think you can tell us tonight that the word creamery is going to change to, I don't think that's a big deal, but.
Okay.
But if
Since
anything else changes.
Okay.
Then you got to come back.
Sure.
Because the resolution is going to tie you to that photo.
Okay, okay. All right. So you have to come back and go through this process if there is even that slight change. there.
Correct. Other than that wording that you talked about of creamery,
Oh.
that one's fine.
That one is fine.
Because you've
Okay,
told us about
okay.
that
Yeah,
tonight.
okay, I
But
got you.
otherwise, you gotta
I'll stick to
come
that.
back to us.
Yeah, okay, I got you, yep.
All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion in a second.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Gear and a second from Mr. Allamon. Huh? I did. Yeah, I did. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, hold on, let's do it again. I know. Let's do it again just to make sure. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved 11-0 and will be resolution 2336. All right, next item, 200223, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of a sign variance or variances at 254 Green Springs Highway, brought to us by Ally Nasher of Shell and Wyatt Pugh, and we'll start with another report from Special Issues. Ms. Smith.
Yes, this is like the previous one. Committee met and voted 5-0 to refer this item out to the full council without a recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. The motion was made by Ms. Andress and seconded by Mr. Allamon.
All right, with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Hi, if you'll just give us your name and tell us what you're asking for.
Ali Nasher. Well, I was just receiving a warning for the
You want a variance
the
to
big
keep
show.
that, right?
yes.
Okay. And I was trying to say, how many windows are we talking about, Mr. Pugh? Do we know?
For
Brian, if you'll go down to the next page. There it is. So it's a total of four.
Four windows.
There's two on the right and two on the left
Okay.
that have 100% coverage.
And the ordinance is 50%, is that correct?
50%.
Okay. All right. Let me check. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? Not, then I will close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council.
I have a
Ms.
couple.
Smith?
Mr. Nasher, we understand, obviously, why you want to keep those, and I'm sure they were expensive to put up. You probably know that a couple of weeks ago, we actually had another business across Green Springs voted to have them have to remove theirs. And then previously to this, we had the Ace Hardware folks who opened their new store over in the Palisades, that we had to have them remove part of theirs, and they've actually done theirs and taken theirs down to a 50% coverage. There's a lot of reasons why we don't like windows to be 100% coverage. I mean, obviously, it's not in our ordinance. You're not supposed to do it. But one of the main things that I heard that I had never thought about before was our law enforcement officers who, when they approach a business and need to go inside, when they can't see what's on the other side of that window and know what they're walking into, that can be a bit of a fearful situation for them. And I feel like that's something that we should take into consideration. I hadn't considered it before, but it makes a lot of sense. And just know that, certainly it's not about you, it's just about, we have an ordinance and we're making all of your neighbors adhere to it as well. So, I mean, in my mind, there's not really a hardship that needs to, that you could have that would make that, variable, I guess, in my mind. That's all. Right.
Well, the reason we just put the picture, I thought we just make it look good for the outside, and to cover all those coolers, all those things hanging over there. It was just, just to show for the outside for the city. So.
Okay. Mr. Sims?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Pugh first. So related to this, if I'm not mistaken, I think I've seen where possibly the signage coverage has been reduced, but possibly the coverage of the window itself has not been. Basically, it's still been blocked out. And I'm wondering if the ordinance references signage coverage or just overall blocking or coverage of the glazing of the storefront.
This is a good conversation we need to have. In my interpretation, in my view, there are two issues. There is sign coverage of a window, and then there is general coverage of a window. Now, there is nothing in any ordinance that prohibits someone from covering a window with, say, window tint or a mural or curtains or blinds or shades. There's nothing that prevents that. And I don't think the sign ordinance is the right place to govern something like that anyway. I understand that there's a police surveillance issue involved, but the sign ordinance covers signs. So in terms of coverage with other things like window tint or even something else that's not related to the commercial enterprise, like these signs that we're looking at here, they all show product that's available in the store. You understand you could go there and get a Coca-Cola. But if this were just, say, a picture, or if this were just, say, reflective tint, or if there were, say, shades on the inside or something like that, there's really nothing that prevents that. So I think there are two separate issues that maybe it's really easy to conflate. And maybe it's a conversation we need to have for maybe an amendment to the zoning ordinance in terms of development criteria and how much window coverage can be allowed for safety issues. But the sign ordinance, that's correct. So for the sign ordinance, this is 100% sign coverage. So if you say covered half the window with a sign that said Coca-Cola and the other half with something else, that would be permitted.
Yeah, so just to be clear, what we've got here is a request for a variance to the sign ordinance. We may have to deal with that issue somewhere else, but for today, it's just a variance to the sign ordinance. Mr. Wolverton, did you have something?
Yeah, it looks like there's additional signage on these pillars as well out front. Or, I mean, that's not entirely related, but I'm just curious if those are also taken into account on any of our sign ordinance.
No, and this particular picture is not current.
There was another one. Go to the last one, Ryan. There's two more right there.
Yeah. Yeah, those are probably worth taking a look at. I don't know where those would fall in the sign ordinance.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So it does look like, not just at this business, but there are several that are going a little wild west on the signage, and be nice to kind of clarify some of that too. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. The Ace Hardware, I believe they cut theirs down. Is that correct?
They're in
So they still have
compliance now.
something, but it's not at all
Similar
total
issue.
coverage.
They're within the sign ordinance now.
Okay. Okay.
So since I have to make a motion in the positive, I would move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Smith and a second from Ms. Andress. Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, so that is, request is denied. The vote is 0 to 11. All right, that brings us to the committee referral agenda. I would entertain, the amended committee referral agenda. I would entertain a motion, a second for approval of the amended committee referral agenda.
So
moved.
second.
Who was the first? I'm
Me.
sorry. Oh, you both did it, that's why I did. Ms. Andress, motion by Ms. Andress, second by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11 to 0, which brings us to other new business. First item, 110323, request to set a public hearing for consideration of a sign variance at 600 University Park Place, brought to us by David Brandt of Fravert and Wyatt Pugh. We will set that public hearing for April 10th at April 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Next item, 120323, request to set a public hearing and referral to the Planning and Development Committee for consideration to approve a text amendment to the city's zoning ordinance for West Homewood District. This comes to us from the Planning Commission with a vote of 9 to 0 in favor, with a favorable recommendation, and by Cale Smith. That public hearing is going to be set for April. Mr. Kendrick, let me make sure. That one's got to be set for the 24th, correct?
No, sir, April 10th. The next one's the 24th.
Next one's the 24th. Okay. The text amendment is the 10th.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll set that one for, I tell you what, why don't we do this? Let's set them both for the 24th since they're related items.
You're going to have to adopt the first one first before you can adopt the zoning.
Can they be adopted at the same meeting as long as that one comes first?
You have to have this one first.
Okay.
Technically, the ordinance is not effective until 5 days afterwards. That's one reason it was put on the 24th. Plus, we have to give notice to everybody within 500 feet for the second and adopt the first.
Yeah. I would prefer them to be on the same night, if that's okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and set,
So 12 and 13 will
12
both be on the 24th?
right, so 120323, I'm going to set for April 24th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Next item, 130323, request to set a public hearing and referral to the Planning and Development Committee for consideration to approve a final development plan for 195 Oxmoor Road and 536 Cobb Street. The applicant is Village Creek Development for proposed redevelopment of the Econo Lodge Motel property as the site of a new mixed-use development comprising a combination of residential and retail use. This comes to us also from the Planning Commission with a 9 to 0 favorable recommendation. And from Cale Smith, I will set the public hearing for that item also on April 24th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And we will be sure to take up the text amendment first. Okay, next item, 140323, request to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Spectrum Industrial Services to clean out fuel tanks at the old Public Safety Building at 1833 29th Avenue South, brought to us by Corporal John Self and J.J. Bischoff. This is an item dealing with the old fuel tanks at the police station. ADEM is requesting, and that will allow us to have the parking over there. And until we do that, we can't do that. So we need to move this through quickly, which is why it's showing up on other new business. So does anyone have any questions about that?
So no parking right now at the old police bay at all?
Not if, no, no, there's no parking until we get that,
Okay.
that taken care of. Yeah, we've moved,
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir. I have the paperwork here. if
Oh,
anyone
thank
wants
you.
to review it. The amount is $5,570. So we talked about this in finance, just as an FYI, but if anyone wants to review this material, I have all from Spectrum, so anyone wants to review it, I have it here.
Okay.
And
Any
I-
other questions or comments? Oh, Ms. Smith. I'm
Sorry, I was just going to make a motion.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion from Ms. Smith, second from Ms. Andress. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that is approved 11-0 and will be Resolution 2337. All right, next item, 150323, request for consideration to remove member from the Homewood Housing Abatement Board as per Section 2-81 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Homewood, brought to us by Wyatt Pugh. Mr. Pugh, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, sir. Per the attendance record provided by the board secretary of the abatement board, the last meeting that Mr. Isbell was in attendance was the October of 2020 meeting.
They haven't attended since then.
2.5 years. He's
2.5 years.
Yes, sir.
And he was appointed right before that?
Not long before that.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
All right, and he was,
He was appointed December 9, 2019.
okay. And we have sent a letter by certified mail, email, Facebook, you name it. So just, yeah, just so everyone understands, there were many attempts over a long period of time to contact him, to ask him about this and ask him if he was willing to continue. Those went unanswered. A letter went out about tonight. I don't think Mr. Isbell is here tonight.
I don't think so.
So he has not come to appear on his behalf.
Is that you, Mr. Isbell, in that red hat?
So he has not appeared tonight, knowing that this item would be heard based on the letter that was sent to him. Mr. Jones?
Just a question, for our bylaws for that, what is the normal amount of time if you don't make a meeting that you would be removed?
3 in a row and 5 in a year.
Okay, we need to move quicker on it next time probably, so that we can do business and not.
Absolutely.
Agreed,
I'm-
agreed.
I would say, just speaking from Ward 5, that we were not aware that he wasn't attending. And what
Okay.
started happening was we became aware that the abatement board was not able to get a quorum. And so that's how we became aware of this.
You had a long gap of COVID too.
Right.
I was,
Yeah, they weren't
thank you.
Zoom
I
and
was
all
just
that.
gonna
Okay.
mention that. There were two things, COVID and,
Okay.
the meetings were not being held on a normal monthly basis because of COVID.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a follow-up question. At what point then do we open that position for Ward 5? Like, we need to advertise that?
At our next meeting.
At the next meeting, okay.
All right, Mr. Wolverton?
Do we know if the certified letter went, was it delivered
haven't
accurately?
got
Do we
anything.
know if he's still lives in town, or? I guess
Yes,
I'm just-
Mr. Cook visited his apartment, and he had a package sitting in his door with his name on it.
Okay.
He also opens up Facebook Messenger, and the only time he has ever replied to Wyatt Pugh was a message about something that somebody posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
So on the Messenger, you can see when things have been read, and he has read those messages.
Yeah, it was actually the board secretary he was communicating with, Stephanie, but she was
Okay.
able to confirm that he did open the letter that she sent via Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion in a second.
Make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval from Ms. Andress and a second from Mr. Harden. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 11-0 and will be Resolution 2338. All right, next item, 160323, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of February 28, 2023 through March 13, 2023, brought to us by Robert Brigette and Melody Salter. I think I saw Mr. Alamon back there doing that.
I reviewed the vouchers, everything looks to be in order, and I'd like to make a motion to approve them.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Alamon,
Second.
second from Ms. Andress. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0 as well, and will be Resolution 2339. All right, last item, 170323, request to authorize the mayor to sign a one-year contract with Norton LifeLock. This is going to come out of contractual services. And Mr. Bischoff, do you have the amount? I don't remember what it is.
No, it varies.
But the got it, okay. All right. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. I skipped completely over a motion. Someone? So moved. Motion for Mr. Gwaltney.
Second.
Second for Ms. Andress. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved 11-0 and will be Resolution 2340. Which brings us to the end of the agenda and to announcements. Mr. Mayor?
Trying to get out of here quick.
Apparently, going too
Don't
good.
don't even need motions anymore.
I'm just glad Stuart got here early.
Don't even need motions anymore. Thank you all for approving the Mayfield cow. I just remember all of the times taking my kids to preschool that we would go that way. And every morning we'd wave to the Mayfield cow as we passed by. So we're excited about that. I know it's moving a little bit different, or to a different spot, but we're excited about that. Taste of Home this Thursday, Taste of Homewood, out on the plaza this Thursday night. Hope you all can attend. If you need to talk to JJ, talk to JJ. The Homewood Athletic Foundation's Cornapalooza Cornhole Tournament is actually this Sunday, also out on the plaza. Starting to see a trend out there on the plaza.
Absolutely.
So we're excited about getting the use out there. Homewood Grown was this past Friday night. Saw Councilors Alamon, Gwaltney, Hardin, and Nelms out there. It was a great time. Raised some great money for the Homewood School Foundation. So excited about that. And then lastly, I know there will probably be other people to speak about this because there were mass text messages and Facebook posts last night. Congratulations to Homewood's own Paul Rogers for his Oscar win last night. Amazing in the category of film editing. Certainly a huge accomplishment. We will have a proclamation at some point. We kind of began that process today, but just an amazing feat for somebody to come out of Homewood. And I know there was another gentleman working on the same movie, directing it actually, that was from States Valley. So just incredible to Birmingham. Gentleman who walked away with several Oscars, I guess, last night. So, yeah, so it was incredible. But just congratulations to Paul Rogers. I know his family is very proud of him, and so is his city. So, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gwaltney.
I will set public safety after finance at 5 o'clock. Only one comment this evening. I had a good time last Wednesday traveling to Montgomery with Councilor Alamon, Nelms, Smith, and Andress, and getting to learn a little bit about where we are in the state, what we can do to advocate on behalf of municipalities, and certain things that we need to keep our eyes open for this year. So it's always good to be engaged with our peers in Montgomery, and it was a good trip. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gear?
I don't have any announcements, but just glad to have a full Arts Council, and they do have plans. They met tonight. I haven't heard exactly that everything's on track, but we'll be announcing some events coming soon, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alamon?
Just want to echo the comment by Councilor Gwaltney and the mayor about the Homewood Grown. It's a fantastic event supporting our young people in the schools. It's always great to see the teachers win Teacher of the Years and the stories. Also, the opportunity to go to Montgomery with our fellow counselors and meet and see what's really moving the agenda in terms of Alabama and learning how to be supportive of things that are going on. Also, just want to invite everyone to come to the Homewood Chamber Luncheon. We'll all be speaking on March 21st from 11:30 to 1 p.m. So get your tickets. Deadline's tomorrow. And also to say that we had a great time at Chili Cook-Off, and Hiko won. People's Choice. And so we're happy to have participated in our first year. And if you need some chili, I'll hook you up. Thanks.
You're just like the man of the hour. Yeah. Carlos, you're just like having a renaissance right now, Carlos. This is is like all about Carlos. This is, you're having a big time these days. Congrats. Must be nice being Carlos.
That's right. Mr. Wolverton.
Yes, we've had several events in the last few weeks. We had the Hall Kent Color Run 8 days ago, 8 days ago. So I appreciate the PTO and everybody that was involved with pulling that off. We had one of the stations was packed out with some firefighters throwing paint at some of our kids and a few parents as well. And then I wanted to thank Scott Butler and Lindsay Culver, who snapped a lot of pictures and were able to document a bunch of that. We also had a crawfish boil / party in the park that kind of followed that afternoon, that afternoon. I want to thank those that were involved in getting that running. It was kind of a first-time event just to see how it went. Obviously, the weather held out for the first time in a while. We'd had a lot of rain leading up to that. So I did have a question, Mayor. You had mentioned the Exceptional Foundation basketball game.
Yep.
Do we have a date yet?
We do not have an
Okay.
update. They just got done with chili cook-off.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
we're waiting on, so he and I'll be in touch.
Okay. Just want to know how much time I have to prepare. That's all.
Start
Start practicing now? Okay.
No matter when it is.
Start now.
Okay. And then my wife asked this morning if there was any way we could, just as a city, decide to do away with this daylight savings time business. I said, well, I don't think that would work too well, but hopefully everybody is recovering from losing that hour this weekend. So, but I think that's, and thank you guys for the support with Delcris sidewalks. I know that's a huge thing. We have constituents that have been talking about it for 30 years, 40 years. So baby steps, we got to start somewhere. We wanted to get something done, and I know that we're going to have to break this up into phases, but we appreciate the support on the first phase. So.
And you're going to set Public Works?
Yes.
Okay. After Public Safety?
I've only got a couple new things, right?
I think you only got one, actually. All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Sims.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up on beautification board items, they did meet today for their March meeting. I referenced the March 22nd Beautification Award at Norris. Also, they have a couple of cleanups coming up in April. I think I mentioned that before, but April 8th is going to be the creek cleanup along Griffin Creek, and we have some awesome partnership with Friends of Shades Creek and Osprey International, Riverkeeper, and so forth, who are going to help with that. Also would love to have y'all help spread the word about that cleanup. So we'll share a flyer with y'all once that's available, as well as April 22nd, there's going to be a street cleanup on Earth Day. So just a couple things to share with residents once flyers are available. Appreciate any help you can do to that effect. And also just wanted to echo the mayor's comments about Paul's award and also Daniel Scheinert's. It's really awesome to see Birmingham, Greater Birmingham, Homewood film community be recognized. A lot of that is done annually through the Sidewalk Film Festival, as well as the organization year-round through their scrambles and events. And so I think it's really a great time to shine a light on the awesome work Sidewalk Film does. Grateful for them in our community. This is going to be their 25th year of the festival. Just wanted to give a shout out to them, as we're also celebrating Daniel and Paul's awesome recognition and accolades. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Really
Oh,
quick,
yeah.
Mr. Sims, for the cleanup, I know last year we had worked with the group to get vests, safety vests and stuff like that. Do you need all of that again this year, or is that taken care of?
We're going to try to coordinate again. We don't
Okay.
have anything confirmed. We have the trash pickers, but we don't really have the vests confirmed at this time. So
Okay.
still working through logistics.
Okay, perfect. Well, when you need it, just let me know.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jones.
What I love about all these announcements is so many things are going on in Homewood in the spring. Mayor, are you the reigning champion for Cornapalooza? Are you a defending
As I recall, he's the
champion?
reigning second place.
Okay, I didn't say that. He said that. Okay, but I expect you to bring it home this year, okay? I expect you to bring it home, okay?
Pretty sure he hasn't won the
Um,
last 2 years.
Yeah.
And, but hearing all this, there are so many things going on, and I'm sorry that I missed the chili cook-off, because I would have loved to have that chili. I was in Jasper, the Homewood boys tennis team won the Jasper Invitational Tournament for that weekend, so I was really proud of them. My son Winston and Will did great, so happy about that, and I'm just looking forward to all of the continued fun events in Homewood. Finance will be at 5, and that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Ms. Smith?
Set special issues for after to follow Public Works, and the Homewood Historic Preservation Commission is meeting tomorrow night here on the 4th floor conference room at 7 p.m. And then on the 22nd, which is a Wednesday, we are going to host our first forum in a very long time at the library again. We are very thankful for that. We are going to have the library's new archivist, who is on a temporary contract right now. She is digitizing all of the Homewood Library's Homewood history collection, so that people will be able to access that on a platform called Alabama Mosaic. So she is going to talk in the forum about what her task is, what she's doing. She's also I think going to encourage people, if they have materials in their homes that they would like to contribute, to have that added to the collection, that she can digitize. They got a grant to do all of this, so it's really kind of interesting. It is really all about historic preservation. So that's going to happen at 6 p.m. at the library on Wednesday, the 22nd. And looking forward to that. And I guess I can, oh no, that's next week. So yeah, 22nd, 6 p.m. at the library.
All right.
And that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Nelms?
I don't have anything, sir.
All right. Ms. Andress?
I will set P&D to follow special issues. Had a great time in Montgomery. I was not, as your legislative liaison, I was not able to liaise very much because all of our legislators were in special session. But we did get to give a hug to Senator Smitherman, and that was great to see him. He dropped in, and so that was nice, but we really weren't able to see anyone else, but we were able to talk to our counterparts in Birmingham, Fairfield, and I got to spend a good amount of time, Mayor, with the mayor from Auburn. Had a long talk about his city manager and what that format looks like, and obviously he's, it's been a huge success for Auburn, as you can tell. Auburn is destroying it lately, just absolutely growing by leaps and bounds, and just so successful. And anyway, we had a great conversation about that. So, so thank you anyway, Andy, for the ride down. We appreciate that. So, let's see. I am not going to make Taste of Homewood because speaking of Auburn, I'm going to the Auburn basketball game. So I just hate that I'm going to miss that, but we're Eagle. And but I am very much looking forward to Tuesday. I've already signed up to go hear Carlos speak because, like I said, Carlos is the man right now, and I can't wait to hear what he has got to say at the Chamber, and I want to thank the Chamber for everything they do for us. And I want to mention that we have a multifamily yard sale Saturday on Bonita and Ventura. Multiple homes are being
Selling their wares.
Yep, selling their wares. A good point. So that is all I have.
All right. Mr. Harden?
I'm going to skip the prologue, but I'm going to go ahead and start War and Peace. I'll be here a little while. I did make it Friday night to Homewood Grown, and then Saturday morning to the Kiwanis breakfast, and I was all Homewood this weekend, it seemed like. I talked to the woman that's the executive director of the Homewood Schools Foundation. I think she said 7 or 9 minutes is how fast, after corporate tables, that sold out. 760 people were there. I mean, my sister-in-law used to be on that foundation, and they begged people to help them, give them money. 760 people, they sold out in, I think it was 9 minutes. Just on an aside, Hardy's friend Will Harden and his 3 college friends left here last Saturday morning, 10:30 in the morning, and drove to Amarillo, Texas, and then drove from there to Zion National Park. They spent a week at Zion, and then they went to Grand Canyon, but I can't believe he did this, but in advance he he got a permit to hike what was called Angel Trail. Never heard of it before, but if you Google the most dangerous trails in America, 11 most dangerous trails, it's number 1.
Bet his mother loved that.
And so, so he gets there, and he's wearing a Homewood track and field shirt, and the ranger is there to see the permit, and she sees him, and then she says, "Can I see y'all's IDs? I guess you have to show your driver's license." She looks at him, and she said, "Did you go to Homewood High School?" And he said, "Yes." She goes, "I went to Briarwood." And so then she said, "By the way, you can't get up there without some traction on your shoes. There's a guy over there for $12 will sell you some traction." And he said it was all snow. It was all ice and snow. I mean, it gets to be like this. It's about this wide, and it's 1,000 feet down on both sides. But there's a chain there. But he said you had to walk down backwards. He said going up was easier than going down. They had to walk down backwards. Most dangerous hike in America. And anyway, but had he not had on his Homewood track and field, I don't think the world would know. Had he fallen off the side, at least a lady from Briarwood would have said, "Yeah, we had a Homewood kid here." That's all I have. And congratulations, Sunday, Walter, your team beat the snot out of Texas A&M. I mean, it wasn't even a contest.
All right, just one other announcement. We have another city manager committee meeting on Wednesday, the 15th, at 5:30, if anyone wants to attend. Again, congratulations to Hika on the chili cook-off. I was standing there when the award was announced, and all the people standing around me that were with some other tent, you need better marketing, because they all said, "Wait, Hika's here?" And how did I miss that? They were very upset that they didn't get to try your chili. So yeah, next year you need a bigger sign, apparently. Let them know that you're there. But all right, with that, we will adjourn this meeting and see everyone in a couple weeks.